Welcome to the Unschooling Lifestyle podcast, and join us as we explore various aspects of unschooling, including practical tips for parents, real-life stories, and experiences from unschooling families, discussions on the philosophy behind unschooling, and the benefits and challenges of this alternative but revolutionary approach to education. We also traverse on topics like self-directed learning, holistic development, and creating a nurturing environment that emphasizes a collaborative and respectful relationship between parents and children, fostering a deep connection and understanding of each other. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Unschooling Lifestyle. We have a very special episode today because I have been trying to get with this amazing trio of ladies. We're missing one. She had universe wisdom of just gonna stay in home and back, and that's okay. So we're gonna honor that, but we're gonna have Ilka and Liv from the Awakened Motherhood Journey. So before I introduce you, I'm going to give you just a little bit of roadmap. We're going to talk about Faster EFT, tapping, about unschooling, motherhood, and how those journeys can be better with Faster EFT. And maybe we'll throw in some human design because I just can't help myself. And these ladies are an amazing source of knowledge of that. So there's four things: unschooling, motherhood, Faster EFT, human design, and better your journey. Okay, I added one more. Okay. So here it is, Ilka and Liv. Thank you so much for being here. How are you guys?
I'm very excited to be here with you, Julietta. And
Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
and with my beautiful business partner, Liv. And yeah, Kristen is, yes, following her heart today. So
Yes.
we normally we're a trio.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just wonderful to be here.
Yes. Liv, how are you today? I'm so happy you're here too.
Oh, me too. I'm so excited. Thank you. I'm well. It's great to
Yeah.
see you.
Awesome. So I'm going to start with Ilka. Can you define in the very short version of Faster EFT before we dive into like more how it works and why it's helpful?
To define it with regards to perhaps if your listeners are unschoolers or they're in a mothering journey, they are probably aware of being triggered. So when we are triggered, we're basically going back to the past. So if you're being triggered, you need tools to change how you operate when you're triggered, right?
Yes.
And a lot of the books out there will say things like you have to breathe, or you have to make space, and all of those things. So that if you've had a lot of things happen in your past that are still they're in your subconscious, you really need a tool that's going to help you to work with your subconscious. And because your subconscious is really unknown to you, it's causing the trigger. Whatever's in your subconscious is causing the trigger, but you don't know what to do with that because all you do is feel really angry at the time, or you feel at the worst, sometimes mothers can feel like they just want to hit somebody, which is really terrible. And I know most mothers know we've all been there, or we just want to cry and we don't even know why. So Faster EFT is a tool that helps to navigate that, and it goes into it in a very deep way. There's questions I ask. Julietta will tell you, it's like,
yes.
And so when you start to work with your subconscious and you start to change what's in your subconscious through the questioning process, through the tapping process, through releasing some of the things that have happened to you in your life that you may not be aware are still really the driver of these triggers. So most of us are not even aware what is driving the trigger, but it's certainly not the present moment. It can be a 2-year-old experience that is driving the triggers. And that's what Faster EFT helps with. So,
I love
and
it.
there's many tools in Faster EFT. There's many techniques. There's many different ways that we use neuro-linguistic programming. People may have heard of. We use hypnosis. We use EFT style tapping. It's really a combination of many different tools that have been put together to really help people shift and change their subconscious. So that the next time your child does the behavior that triggered you in the first place, it actually will not trigger you again.
Yes. And this
Right?
is probably the
Amazing.
most important part, like that happened for me, because I wanted to be home with my children. Like I wanted to do this journey, but I kept getting triggered because they weren't doing what I wanted them to do. And I'm like, how
Yeah.
dare you go against, but I had to go deep. Now, let me tell you, when she says the questions I asked, I am going to tell you, I get goosebumps just thinking about it because those questions I have felt, and they don't just come from Ilka, they also come from Liv, and they also come from Kristen. All this three beautiful ladies have this magical way of sensing what you're going through almost without you knowing. So it is the question that uncovers that for you. Now, I know, Ilka, you have been doing Faster EFT for 10 years, right?
Yes.
Yes. But I
Yes.
know, Liv, how do you come to Ilka? And like where were you before? And obviously now you're on the other side helping a lot of people, doing it with your reflector energy, faster EFT, and your unschooling journey. So, where were you before this, before finding Ilka?
Uh, I was a hot mess before I found Ilka. I was at the end of my rope. I had no ability to function
Yeah.
happily or in any way that was productive to me. There was
Hmm.
a constant spiral, like a doom spiral in my thoughts. One thing would go wrong and I'd be out. I was having panic attacks. I was probably the worst I could be without being medicated or being committed somewhere. Like I was in a
Hmm.
very dark place. A little bit probably more extreme than most people are at. Given human design, I can take things pretty deep.
Hmm.
Um, I was searching is what I was where I was at. I was asking for help from the universe, from the
Hmm.
gods, from humanity, whatever it was. I was being driven on a path that led me to Ilka, pretty much directly to Ilka, and yeah, it changed everything. Changed my whole life. But I
It
was
did.
unschooling, I was breastfeeding, I was gentle parenting, attachment parenting, and completely overwhelmed. Just tapped out physically, tapped out emotionally, tapped out mentally. I had no resources left really until Ilka, until Faster EFT.
Yes. Everybody says like you should, like unschooling is great, gentle parenting is great, like breastfeeding is fantastic, but I feel like a lot of people tend to romanticize how that should go and tend to ignore the darker moments that sometimes we go through when we're triggered, when something happens and all of a sudden you feel like you're about to explode. Sometimes you're like, well, why can everyone do it? And why I'm here feeling like a total trashy parent because I have these feelings, because I have these emotions, because I have anger. And I think Ilka, Liv, and we were in a program with Dana Martin about unschooling. And one of the things that I loved about Ilka is how relatable we were in the terms of the anger part of it. Because a lot of people are my children are my world, which mine are too, but I can tell you that I have had some dark moments with anger. I mean, I have some serious, like, where you're just like, is that really me? Like, it almost feels like an out of body experience when I had, it doesn't happen
Yeah.
anymore, but I had them. And Ilka would say, yeah, I had that too. And I'm like, thank you, Lord, for someone that I could relate to at this point. But Ilka, could you tell us where were you to before you found Pastor EFT? Because you have been a non-schooling mom for a very long time. Your kids are grown and they are amazing human beings.
Yeah,
And where were you before this?
yeah. Well, thank you for bringing that to light, because I think you're correct in saying that it can be very romanticized, and I was very guilty of trying to romanticize it myself.
Yeah.
Saying, and so I was often shocked by the things that would happen to me and the times that I would get overwhelmed. And yes, I have unschooled my children their whole lives, so that my oldest is now 26, and then I've got a 24-year-old and a 21-year-old. So yeah, it's been amazing. But when I came to Faster EFT, I was also in a pretty overwhelmed place. I really had not. I'd done a lot of things. I'd done a lot of things to work on changing myself and not getting angry and not, turning into a bitch sometimes.
Amen, girl.
For one
I'm
of a
just
better, like
saying.
with my husband, things like that, when I would get overwhelmed. And yeah, I did often feel like I'm a little bit opposite to some women. A lot of women, as you say, go towards being more, they really internalize their anger.
Yeah.
That's a very strong pattern for a lot of women, where they put it inside. They say it's my fault. I tend to be more on the other spectrum, where I'm like letting it out, blaming somebody else. And I'm really happy to own that about myself. It's not pretty.
Yes.
That's when I came to Faster EFT, I was really looking, that's where I wanted the most help. And of course, if you go back to my childhood, you will find some angry people in there, some angry, explosive people. I had teachers, I had experiences that created that inside of me, and I wanted to suppress it. And I certainly didn't want that coming out with my children. And also, I didn't have a lot of memory of what had happened. I know other people in my life have told me things, so there is memories that are real memories. People tell me things did happen to me, but I just shut it all down. I'd lost it visually in my memory. So this is why when I would come out with these things, it could be really shocking, and I really needed help. And so I started getting a lot of help from practitioners, doing Faster EFT on myself, getting sessions, and starting to shift a lot of the mother guilt that I felt. Oh my goodness, so much guilt, so much shame. Because, I would go a whole month, I want to qualify here. I could go a whole month seeming like the most super mother in the world, right? I could keep my shit together for a long time, and I was a good mom. And that's something I've had to, I can say it now, because when I first got to Faster EFT, I was so hard on myself as well, that I wouldn't have been able to say that to you. I would say it was all shit. Right? And my kids would go, Mum, like, this is ridiculous. Like, you're a good mum. Like, they'll tell me. But I was so hard on myself, because those angry outbursts, even if they only happen once a month or twice a month, they were just so unacceptable to me.
Yeah.
And again, that's another thing with anger. Often as little children, as little girls, it's very common in our culture for anger to not be loved. You're not loved when you're angry. And that's something I really enjoy helping people with now, is that we can go back to your inner child's experience and take her through a process where she can be loved in her anger. Because anger for a 2-year-old is an emotion. It's not something bad, and most of us, our parents did the best they could. They didn't have the tools that we have now, but they were not gentle parented. They were not attachment parented. Most of us grew up where authoritarian style parenting was the only model. It's the only model they knew, and they did their best. But you've got to go back and address what is inside of you. Where is this coming from? And that's what Faster EFT helped me to do. And It's also actually called eutaptics if you're looking it up. I know I'm supposed to say that too, that that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that though, because
Yeah.
especially in the anger piece though, because
Yes.
it's just not acceptable. And I'm like, not everybody can be happy 100% of the time. There's a Mexican actress that says, if you're happy all the time, like, I don't want to be your friend. Like, it's impossible. It's impossible to be like that 100% of the time. But it is
Yes.
navigating how you go in and out of those emotions and how you feel about having those emotions, not to feel shame for being angry, but
Yeah.
also knowing how to navigate that. But I mean, I could go on and on and on about this, how it would help me. And actually, I'll put the links later, but in their community, I have done a couple of interviews or just kind of like about my process, because I mean, when I tell you I was angry, I was angry. I would come home sometimes from my work trips, and if my husband turned right and I thought he was turning left, I would lose it. I mean, I would lose my, like, I would just become a psychopath. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? But, so we have worked extensively. Extensively. That's all I'm going to say about that. We hear the places that you were at before both of you found Faster EFT. So now, how do you come together to say, we are going to become this powerful trio, and this is what we're gonna do for moms? Liv, let's start with you, because I know you came a little bit later. Is it Ilka, then you, and then Kristen, or who goes first in this triangle?
Well, it's Ilka first. Ilka was
Mm-hmm.
already in business with a different business partner.
Oh, okay.
But in the beginning, when I started with Ilka, she was working with Joe, another amazing powerhouse of a woman.
Mm.
Yeah, she's magnificent. And they kind of parted ways. And my reflector self, at the time, I didn't understand what that meant. I didn't know what was going on. But I'd spent so much time with Ilka that I was like connected to her. I was really picking up on all of
Mm-hmm.
her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm deep inside there. And all the other ladies that we're on calls with and stuff as well too. So I'd spoken to Ilka and Joe a few times about what was going on in their business, and just as a client, on the sidelines and stuff. And
Yeah.
then at one point I was like, I need you guys like all the time. Like I need you guys everywhere. Like every moment of my day, I need access to you. Like
Yeah.
how something's gotta give, you know. Um, and it's not my idea, but I was like, if you had an app that I could just hit the button and like hear your voice like in every moment of every day, then maybe, that would work out really well business wise and like for all the mums and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure I'm not the only one being a reflector. It wasn't actually mine. It was what the universe was kind of projecting outwards. It was Zilka. It was all the other ladies in the group. It was, everyone's, I was just saying out loud what the undercurrent was, I think.
Yes.
And I don't think I was the only one that said it at the time either. But yeah, so then it kind of came about that Ilka was kind of like, look, do you guys want to make an app with me? Like to me and Kristen, and we were both kind of like, yep, we do. Like, let's go. And that's kind of it. It's kind of, morphed from there, and we haven't quite got our app together, but we do some amazing work together, the three
Yes.
of us. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So before I move on to the next question, I want, if you could please, so she said her reflector energy, and when all three of us got together in this program when we were before, some of those words kept coming up, reflector, generator, human design. And I'm like, what is that? And that's how I got into human design. I was introduced to human design by this amazing woman here. And I just dove right in. It's been a couple of years now. I've taken two, classes. I do readings and all of that. But could you define your reflector energy for people that are new to this concept? Please. I mean, honestly, they are less than 1% of the population. And the fact that I got to be introduced to this concept by one of them, because I remember before she even said that, and both of them, I remember being like, I just want to listen to this lady. Like, why do I just want to listen? Like, every time she opened her mouth, I was like, yeah, that's it. That's how I feel. That's what I need. So please give me, I know, and this is a very extensive, could be a whole conversation in itself, but define your reflector energy for me, for us rather. I'm
Well,
so
that's,
selfish.
I
I'm
don't
like,
know that anyone can actually do that.
yes.
The like Ra is the guy who downloaded Human Design, and so
Hmm.
he says our energy is like Teflon. It's every one of us has an aura. Manifesting
Hmm.
generators have an aura that's like warm and welcoming and
Yeah.
like embracing, and
Hmm.
projectors have an energy that's penetrating and embracing, and so my aura is Teflon. So it's resistant, it's sampling,
Hmm.
it does, you can get underneath my defenses. Like if I spend a lot of time with people, I tend to take on their whole self. Like I kind of will put people on and wear them around as if I'm them.
Yes.
It's a very, once I stop sampling and I start to morph into everybody around me, then it doesn't feel so good for everybody. Um, but I guess I just have the ability to get into all of your shells,
Yes.
and I
Okay.
feel sometimes like I'm the unconsciousness in the room. I'm all of those things that Ilka will
Hmm.
talk about with Faster EFT and your tactics. Like
Hmm.
I'm already in there. That's say like talking about the app. Like that wasn't me going, oh my God, I've got this great idea for you guys. That was the collective unconscious kind of going, how do we do this? How do we get
How do
this
we
to more
do
people?
this?
How
Yeah.
do we, and me just saying it out loud. Like for you guys, I'm not sure what it's like. For me, sometimes it becomes as if there's no me here. It's everybody else's lives that I'm living.
Wow.
And that's what gives it its kind of oomph for you guys, because it is your life I do end up living. It's Ilka's kind of being that I'm in some days. And I have flashes of all of these, like the thoughts and the emotions and the like plans I make, and then I'll have a chat to someone and they'll be like, "Oh, blah 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 blah," and I'm like, "Okay,
Okay.
yep, that wasn't mine, that was yours." Like
That was
I
yours.
was living
Yes.
in you, I was, yeah.
Yeah.
I felt you download that. I felt you're not going to show up today. Like I fully, it's a very interesting, it's
Yes.
an interesting way of being me. Yeah.
Hmm. It really is though. And then combined with, Ilka's generator energy, it's just in her, you're 6'2", right? Ilka, you said? For your
I'm a
profile?
2-5.
Oh, 2'5".
We have lots of fives. Liv
R-
is a 3-5. I'm a 2-5, and Kristen is a 5-1. So we have
She's a 5'1", my little
lots
one,
of the
my little,
fives coming at you. So if you feel
yes.
like you need to project onto us, that is why.
Yes, and it's so interesting because so when you guys have to be like in the right environment to like to share your wisdom. And
Mm.
honestly, you are just born to be within the motherhood environment because there is so much work to be done there. And I have done, like I said, two journeys, and their questions just go deeper and deeper. The way I describe my let me just let you describe what you offer, and then I'll share what my experience has been. So you guys came together, you said you should do this, let's do this, let's go into business together. So how did this journey come about?
I was working with clients already, and I was also working with a lot of the mums. We had a system in place where the mums could come and do sessions with me, Utaptics, Faster EFT sessions with me. And so we've kept expanding on that. We've got a sales page that invites people into journey with us, and they
Mm-hmm.
can come and do the 2-hour session, which is for the sessions with me. There's 3 mums on each call. And this is in an attempt to make it really accessible for people, affordable for people.
Yeah.
And they get to spend time with Liv and Kristen and be mentored through a course that we have so that they can really get clear on things like their values, Many things that really helped me in my unschooling journey as well, because to do unschooling is to go against the status quo, against the mainstream.
Yeah.
And you need, and that's a gift in a way, because you need to start looking at how to live in the world in a way that's very self-directed, in a way that's very self-responsible, in a way that you have courage for yourself, you can show up for yourself, you can answer questions that people that come along. And so I created a course that's going to help you to do that. So you're going to learn about your values, you're going to learn about how to communicate your values, you're going to learn about the process that I'm using to help you change your subconscious. That's a big part of it. And there's some really cool, meditative tools, meditations, all those kinds of things that you can learn. So there's a huge upgrading of knowledge in the course that we have. And then you get to do sessions with me. And, I've been working with people for over, I think, 15,000 hours now of sitting in front of people and working on their deepest, most painful experiences in their life and transforming those experiences. So I have worked extensively with chronically ill people, mostly women, some men as well. And we have got them from things like 4 years in bed, not being able to get out of bed for 4 years, to living their best life. That really is the power of changing the subconscious. And I probably don't. A 5-line thing is that we're supposed to brag more about our lives, and I still need to tap on this myself, because I tend to sometimes not say how powerful this tool is. And when I've got stories like this that I could tell forever about women, one of the woman I worked with was in a wheelchair, for example. And now, she's walking around. She sent me a thing, rock climbing. So there are other examples of people. There's many, many examples on the Faster EFT testimonial website of people healing from chronic illness, healing from especially autoimmune diseases, healing, getting out of wheelchairs. It's pretty phenomenal. So I get to do that with people, and then I get to do this same work with the mums coming, because it's exactly the same process. The chronically ill people are being triggered by different things. Their symptoms have turned into something, their symptom is like their triggers every day. So we're being triggered by our children as mothers, and we're really getting an opportunity that if you work on that trigger, you're getting an opportunity to not get ill later in life, or to not, your children are actually giving you an opportunity to heal yourself. And it's incredible. So did I answer your question?
Yeah, that is exactly. I don't even remember what the question was, but
Well,
I
you get to do
really,
the course, and you get to do time with me.
yes.
And
And
I am a very I'm a very experienced practitioner, and I have some major success stories under my belt.
some of the people that Ilka has worked with have done interviews with other people about their own stories. They mention, briefly some of the tools that they have worked, but I'll put this in the links because Faster EFT, I found it to be as a tool for me as a parent through unschooling. So I came to unschooling first and then came for this. But I find that a lot of people that don't have children either yet or have decided not to have children need just as much help from a human design perspective, as well as Faster EFT, because we all have the triggers from unmet needs from way, way, way in the past. So, but it's just a different way. We came together through motherhood and through unschooling, but I know other people, I know it's helpful. Liv, what were some of the one of the programming that you had to shift when you came to Ilka before you started like doing this work, the mentorship work? Like, what were you working on?
I was working on my childhood, basically,
Yes.
is what I
Mm-hmm.
was working on. Always
Yeah.
I mean, and like Ilka says, she doesn't always have conscious visual memories of that. But
Mm-hmm.
I came from a family of 6 kids, single parent. My mum raised us from when I was 6 or so. I think my dad had left, and he was a very violent, aggressive man. So there's childhood violence, there's domestic
Mm-hmm.
violence, there's abuse, there's neglect, there's rage. There's a lot of stuff in my childhood that plays out in my reactions to my children.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really always what I was working on. Right in the very beginning, there was a lot of working on my grandma and her programs, working on my single motherhood. So I had left when I actually started tapping with Ilka. I had actually left my partner in a different country, and I'd moved back to my country of origin with my 2 little kids. And so I was a single parent. So I had triggered myself back into all of those patterns and
Mm-hmm.
programs, and that's really what I was working on. I was working on that, and that
Yeah.
is vastly, vastly different now. Even though I'm currently again single parenting, but
Yes.
we're doing
And I
it,
like
enjoying it.
Yes, but I love that you said it's different. And I think so. I have done two journeys with them. I've done a 12-week and I did a 4-week. And in the 4-week, the latest one, it honestly is like the way I saw what I went through was that obviously there's the trigger, there's like the onion. And every time we worked through, it was a deeper layer of something else. So the way I work now with my stuff is whenever something bothers me nowadays, I can feel it, but I have the I don't know, self responsibility to stop and think for a second and then trace it back. Get stop now, see it for what it is, and no, and trace it back different, because the childhood stuff gets coded into other experiences for me or the way I see it. And then I'm like, oh, that happened. Oh, that happened. Oh, that happened. And then there's the root. And then I follow what Ilka's process is, which Ilka, would you walk us through how the process worked once you find it? Because the gut wrenching questions that these two women ask, they honestly they take you back. Like I have to tell you that this work isn't for the faint of heart in the terms that I knew I needed to do this deep work, but I have chosen not to do it because I didn't want to go back there. Just like Ilka said, I also didn't have a lot of recollection of my childhood because it was blocked for one way or another. So I didn't want to do it. I knew I needed it if I wanted to get past the triggers and, the power struggles and, supporting my children for who they are and not who I want them to be. But I honestly didn't have the courage. Like, I was just like, nope, we're not doing it. It took me a while. So, from the time Ilka, Liv, and I finished our journey together about unschooling, it took I don't know, maybe about 6 to 8 months before I finally decided I need deeper help. So, would you just kind of walk us through how the tapping works? So, she does this crazy thing where you're telling her what bothers you, and then she goes quiet for like a second. She writes down her notes. She goes quiet, and then she like strains herself, and then she asks you. She opens her mouth, and look at. I wish you could see. I have goosebumps over here because I remember when this woman asked me, "Who are you in this relationship, in this power struggle that I was having with the boys?" She said, "Who are you? Are you your mom or are you your dad?" Oh, I was like, how dare you? Like, how dare you go in like that, deep like that? I'm like, I don't have time for you, lady. But then I sat for a moment and I realized that in that particular moment, I think it was my dad who, back in the day, for different health reasons and obviously, whatever, he would just get upset with us at the moment that we hit a table or something. So, but she said, "Who are you?" And then so it's like, okay, so this is where it's at. And then she tells you, okay, we're going to reframe this and we're going to turn your dad into a person that holds space for you to do this. And I'm like, okay. And then do what you do, Ilka. What would we have done? She asked me. I'm like, so how does it work? So here, let's work on that memory because there's a lot of stuff for my dad happening right now since he's in the hospital. So,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, well, we can do it. We can do a little session there if you
yeah,
want.
let's
So,
do it. Mm-hmm.
okay. Oh, beautiful. All right. So if you were to step into your dad back then in that childhood memory and notice what you feel inside when you're stepping into him,
Mm-hmm.
notice if he's looking at his eyes at you. What is he seeing? What is he feeling? What is he thinking?
He's definitely feeling upset,
Okay, so
angry that
then
we're
we can,
even moving.
yeah, and then we can do a little bit of tapping here. Oh, dad's upset.
Ah,
Oh, dad's upset. And letting this go. Okay. Letting it go. Okay. Taking a deep breath. Float away. Grabbing your wrist. And this is just a peace anchor. So, and Julietta will know a peaceful place to go to there.
mm-hmm.
And just finding that peaceful place inside. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we can go
Oh,
back to your dad. Go back to your dad. And what do you feel your dad needs in this moment?
I think he needed just like have space for himself back then. You know, he
Yeah.
didn't have that. He didn't have
Yeah.
space for himself, and he was always under a lot of pressure. You know,
Yeah.
but what's interesting too is that I discovered my dad's actually a quite right.
Ah,
Uh,
wow. Yeah,
yes,
this is where human design becomes so
yes. So
so
this is
interesting.
so
Wow. What
you
could you
know
give little dad? What could we give little dad? What do you think little dad needed?
honestly just like a hug, like like that
Yeah.
physical,
Let's give dad
like
a hug. Let's give dad a hug. You can
it
see
was
little
just
dad,
yeah,
getting lots of hugs.
yeah.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
was so this is like an example of what I mean, this is like true. So my dad, I'm not sure when I'm going to publish this episode, but at the moment my dad's actually in the hospital right now. So when
Yeah.
I tell you that this stuff comes up in the most unexpected moments, and then it could be triggered by something so random as someone falling or something, this is why this work is so important. When
Yeah.
unschooling, you're giving your children the freedom to decide for themselves how they want to live their life. But they can't live their life free if you don't work on your own stuff. So, and this is where Liv and Kristen do the mentorship. Can you tell me a little bit about how the mentorship works?
Yeah, I just also want to point out that to speak to what you're just talking about, we're always in these memories. So to say, like, I don't want to go there, I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to bring it up, there's a little bit of a disconnect there because we're all in these memories all the time. Like, this
Yeah.
is what's running the show, regardless of if we acknowledge that or not, or if we can
Hmm.
see it or not, or if we understand that's what's happening. That is actually what's happening in our
Yeah.
reality.
Hmm.
The scary part, I think, without these processes is that when we do go there, when we are triggered, we don't have a way to get out of them. So we don't want to go in there. We weren't taught to
Yes.
move through it. There was no resolution. There's no conflict and repair. There is no way out of these things except to shut it down. When we're
Hmm.
little, that's what we learn. We learn don't go there. We learn no one's going to help us through it.
Yep.
So that's what we do to ourselves when we're adults now. We just, no, we're not going to go there. But it's
Yep.
running everything anyway. That's how I'm reacting. That's what I believe to be true.
Hmm.
That's what I think about myself. All comes from in there. So it is really I mean, Ilka always says how brave we all are for doing this work, and I kind of like, whatever. Like, it's not brave, like, fuck off, Ilka. Like, just fix me, just fix me.
Just fix it.
Just stop it. Yeah, there's no bravery here. I'm done. Like, I'm done with doing this unconsciously. Like, there's no other way now except through and out of.
Yes.
Like, that's all that really matters now as a
Yeah,
grown.
can I just though I will go kind of complete opposite to our Miss Reflector over there though.
Oh,
And,
you're right.
and say to you, Julietta, though, thank you for doing this publicly, because there is nothing greater than to people to see the process in action. And that was a very small little snippet of what we would do in a session. But to see how that came up in you now, what's just happened there, and Liv can attest to this too, is that, because she'll tell you, Julietta now has shifted something in a very deep way inside of her. And the next time she's around her dad, she will notice changes. She will notice that things aren't bothering her in the same way. That can be a whole thing in itself too. But the like Liv is saying, and the thing I will agree with is, yes, it's very, you can't, if you want to change yourself, you have to do this. You have to go through this process, because these memories are driving you. So they are everything about you. And if you're not becoming aware of that, you can't make the change. So thank you for so much for the demonstration. There's nothing more powerful than that.
Oh, thank you for helping me through this. I mean, it's always, it's always hard to see that. There's so much, like, I don't know, it's, your body's like a holding, like a holding thing. I think that's why we get all those chronic illnesses, because you're holding on to so much, and then you're not able to release. You don't know how, like Liv just said, you just don't know how to release. I mean, yeah, you're told that you're supposed to be nice to your children and that gentle parenting, should be the way to go. But honestly, nobody wants to tackle the elephant in the room, to the fact that we were not parent like that. Not because they didn't want to. I believe in my heart that if my parents had known a different way to parent, that even my grandparents, they would have done it, but they didn't know how. And I mean, and that's part of this beautiful existence we're evolving, right?
Yeah, I was going to, because you asked me before about Liv as well, and working like with Liv's memories. So, and this is a good example of like the things that people think are not trauma. So Liv was often left alone with her grandmother as a 6-year-old, and her grandmother would tell her she was going to die. She was always talking about, like, can you just explain a little bit about that? Because I was going to use that as the example. It was so beautiful. They could see you actually go into that, and we could do a little session there. But the way that we've changed Liv's grandmother, like we've extensively changed how that woman is represented inside her mind. But it seems like a small thing, like leaving a 6-year-old with a woman who tells you they're going to, that they're miserable every night. Like, sometimes these are the kinds of things that people just don't understand can be so like that. They have such an impact on a small child.
Yeah.
Well, to talk to that actual literal example of that. So my grandmother lived in a caravan or a trailer, whatever the American equivalent is. And we would bed share. So I would spend weekends with her, one of 6 kids, abusive dad, all that stuff. I would go to my grandma's and we would bed share. So at nighttime, she would, at the end of the day, and at nighttime in the dark of the caravan, and we'd talk and whatever, and she would say all the things out loud that she was thinking. So she would be like, oh, Livy, I'm so old and I'm just so done and I just wish I could die. Like, why won't I just die? And nobody loves me, and like all these things. And this is my 6-year-old memory. So this is what I've held on to. So whether this happened one time or if it happened every time, I'm not quite sure, because the consciousness of that. And I started staying with her when I was 3 or 4. So there's a lot of weekends involved in this overwhelming memory with her. But that plays out for me then with my children when it comes time for bed for them, because we bed share. So I could never understand why at the end of the day, when we're all really tired and we're getting into bed and it's so loving and kind and we're reading stories, my stress levels would be through the roof. And I would be eating like there was no way for me to be this kind, sweet person at the end of the day. As soon as we got into bed and the lights went out, chaos would ensue. And so that working on that memory with my grandma in the bed with her eased all that off. Like, I don't have that problem anymore. I don't worry about bedtimes. I don't stress about being in bed with my kids. It is not the same visceral, physical reaction to that time of day as it used to be. And I wouldn't have been able to, there's no amount of willpower in the world that can actually change those reactions and actions like this work does. To actually change those memories in my mind is
That is super intense though, to carry that, from such a young age though. And to like take all that in though, I mean energetically, and just like, not even have resolution. Like, so how does your grandmother looks like in your mind? Like, what's
well, now she's fun. So we've done a
now?
lot of her memories. So now
Uh-huh.
she's abundant. She lives this nomadic life. She
Oh, I
has
love that.
boyfriends and she's got a partner and she plays cards and she smokes and she drinks and she goes dancing. And my grandma's just a stunning example of powerful women doing what she wants to be doing.
I love
So she's
that.
kind and she's funny and she's
She's
warm.
got a partner who loves her.
She has a partner who loves her, who cares for her, takes her dancing, he plays cards with her, he brings her food, he
Yeah.
rubs her feet, so.
There's nothing more powerful than that though. And I think that's what you and Kristen do in the mentorship. So the journey is set up. So there's a call with Ilka and there's a mentorship with Liv and Kristen. And what I love about this is that it feels like it's preparing you to, like, it's unraveling some of the daily life, and then they're like, oh, but what about that? And I'm like, wait, what? Like, where did it come from? Like, how? And then that call almost like prepares you for the big moment with Elka in terms to like to go deeper. So it's almost like you're at the top of the stairs and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go deep into it. And then someone asks a question, I'm like, okay, down 2 steps, and then and then another down 2 steps once you tap on it, and then you build on it. Because the more you uncover, it feels like the more you discover, like the more you uncover, you discover. I don't know. That rhymes,
Yeah,
but
that's true.
but it is truly
Like
like
opening Pandora's box in the beginning.
yes, and it's
Yeah.
truly remarkable because when I listened to Erwin,
Oh, Owen? Yeah.
she did a testimonial, and I was really excited to hear her, but also what it opened for me, because the work that she had done, the work I had done, took me to understand what having my mom as a projector was for me. So that was really, but I don't know that I would have gotten there if I had not done the prior work. So, can you talk about just a little bit about how the mentorship is structured, Liv, so people can kind of know a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so we like to teach the foundational belief system that works
Mm-hmm.
with the process itself. There's a few things that are helpful to really know about. So we teach that. There's 4 sessions in this 4-week journey. So we teach about how our mind actually works and why the process works so well, and a little bit on how you can do it yourself too, and prepare you for Ilka. So in that way we do exactly what you say. We can hear your day-to-day stories and we can pull together some threads and find some links for you. And it really does make those sessions with Ilka that much more powerful because, like you say, you have taken off the onion layers and we can help with those onion layers just ourselves, Kristen and I, just to ease off that before you get to Ilka and she does that really deep actual memory change work, But we just find that the mentoring sessions for Kristen and I mean, Kristen's not here to speak for herself, but the joy that we get out of being with you ladies on this journey
Mhm.
and actually sharing this stuff with you and making it make sense for you in your day-to-day lives, like that's really, really important. The
Mhm.
solidarity that comes, the camaraderie, the like
Mhm.
the, mind-blowing moments of understanding and the shifts in perception, because it doesn't
Yes.
always have to be a really intense session to shift a
Mhm.
perception. Like a
Yeah.
perception can change in an
Mm.
instant. As soon as we bring validation to those moments, like it just poof, it just goes away. Like there is no, you can work through these things in every moment of every day, just having one of these tools.
Mhm.
It takes a bit longer to do it that way. The sessions with Ilka are her ability to do a million memories in one session is
Yes.
unmatched. There's
Yes.
nobody else on the planet that I would, as a reflector, as an unschooling mom, as a gentle parent, as a conscious parent, as a someone who believes in inner authority and self responsibility.
Mhm.
Ilka's the leader here in this space of having these concepts in her own childhood, that we all wanted to have had. For us, the abundance she had in her childhood is, yeah, it's unmatched here. It's unparalleled. There's no other kind of. I just could bow down to her every day of the week. Like she won't brag, but I will. Like I want everyone to have her because it's just the level of freedom and joy that comes from my kids.
Mhm.
The way that I can validate them, the way I can hold space for them, the way they now get to live their lives because of the work
Mhm.
that Ilka's done and the work that Ilka does with us is just amazing. Like we're smashing intergenerational trauma that would take 1,200
Mhm.
generations to fix, but we're doing it now, and it's not gonna,
Yes.
affect my kids the way it affected me, and they will then have a whole different adulthoods that really suit them, that they're really aligned with, and we just bring a little bit of that into the mentor stuff. We hype Ilka up and we prepare you for her sessions, and we
Yes.
and we teach you we're kind of Ilka's other half, where she gets to really have her
Mhm.
jam in her sessions. We get to teach you the foundational beliefs you need to actually kind of understand to make the sessions quicker and faster and easier. So it's joy for us. I love it. I love the
Yes.
whole process. And
I have to agree 100% with you because honestly, like the joy that I get from like finding out, like where those triggers come from. Like I said, they don't come as often, but they still do come. We've been at unschooling for since 2021, so we're together a lot of the time. So I hope if you come to this work, to their work, I hope you really take the time to invest in yourself because there's nothing greater that you can give your children, your family, and most importantly, yourself. There's nothing better that you can give yourself but the power to heal and to be self-responsible so you can move throughout the world like the
Mm.
incredible human being that you are, that like we're supposed to move through that like
Mm.
this. So before we
Like our
go,
children so beautifully show us every day, don't they?
yes,
Yeah,
they
our
are.
children show us how to do this every day.
They do.
Yeah,
They're just so powerful to show us how to be.
yeah.
So as you begin, so it's not easy to come to this decision to work on this. I mean, at least it wasn't really easy for me. Like it was hard. Elga,
Mhm.
what would you say to mothers? Obviously, because I feel like you mostly work with mothers, but anybody that could come across this and they're like in the cycle of like it's just in the cycle of just going through the motions, feeling the motions, knowing that they need to change, but not knowing how to do it. What would you tell them?
Well, I think that your experience is very normal, Julieta. We've had many mums being being told by Liv and Kristen, you just need to come and do the sessions with Ilka. You just need to come. One of the mums that's in our webinar, Shan, I think she took 6 months as well to come.
Yes.
Yeah, and the thing that they will always tell you is, why didn't I show up sooner?
Hmm.
Like, why did it
Yeah.
take that long?
this is
Because
where we joke that you need the Ilka sessions to get on the Ilka sessions. Like you need to work on your
Yeah.
resistance to doing the work to get into
Yes.
doing the work. It's
Yes.
But I think it's a very normal human behavior to want to feel like you trust somebody, especially when there's this level of work to, where we're going into
Yeah.
things that can feel very shameful and very, a lot of the the emotions that were not, again, it goes back to this gentle parenting, doesn't it? We were not gentle parented. So
Totally.
we have a lot of things around being with other people and being seen and being heard and being, so this is very normal for anyone from my generation, for definitely, but from any generation really. And I've had the pleasure and the honor of working with my own mother, you know, and helping her to release memories from her past. So know that it's very normal to be scared, and that we do hold a space. I think the beautiful part about Faster EFT is that I've gone and done my work on myself. You know, I work on myself still all the time, and in the world of helping people to change, that is something that I don't understand in some ways, how people do change their triggers without Faster EFT, because it goes very deep and it goes into the change. So therefore, I'm not being triggered by the things that you're bringing to me, because I've worked on myself. This is a huge part of why Faster EFT is so amazing. And I did work on myself for my first 100 clients, because they did bring up some stuff inside of me. You know, and sometimes that will still happen, but I go and work on me. It's not about the person in front of me. These days, that's very rare, because I'm very focused on helping you and also be grateful. I'm like, oh, okay, there's something in me I need to work on. Right? Liv's pretty good at it because she knows me. And she's in me, so she helps me to clear my own stuff as well. So even whoever you're going out there to get help from, you know, if you want to do this kind of work, you need to trust the people. You need to know that they've done their work on themselves.
Yes.
You need to know that they're experienced in working with people. And you do need to be discerning. So it's very normal to feel that, what am I stepping into here? And you can always come and just do a discovery call with me and just have a chat with me. There's a free link on my website, on our website for the Awakened Parent. And there is no, we're not going to ever, we're about gentle parenting, which is all about, you have to be ready.
Yes.
You have to come and do it when you're ready. And it's just, that's the only question you need to answer. Are you ready? And are we your people? You know, are we the ones that you want to work with? Yeah.
Oh my goodness, so incredible. But yes, I mean, it really is gentle parenting, because it was a personal decision for me to go in there. Like I said, I was in their group. I was listening to the calls. I listened to different webinars that they had, like on human design in children. It was a very gradual process for me, but it was definitely not one of them send me a message like, "Oh, you should join. It'll be great." It was, I honestly, and now that I'm like reflecting back, it wasn't like that. It was a complete, I send them, I had the first step to send Ilka a message and say like, how do I start? Like, where do I go from here? Like, how, like I'm ready. And even the second journey, I was like, I need something else. For you, Liv, if someone was like kind of like on the verge of starting to do the work, what words of wisdom would you have for them?
That's a good question. If you're on the verge, I agree with Ilka what she said. Are you ready? If you're ready to join, are we your people? And I would say that just we're unmatched in the unschooling gentle parenting space. There's no judgment here of any past experiences or any future worries. We have a zero station perception of people. Like, the level of understanding humanity in the three of us is, there's nothing you can say in this space that will shock us or disappoint us or upset us, or we will never condemn anyone. We never judge anyone. There is no criticism here. We understand fundamentally that you are always talking about yourself in this space. So you can say whatever you want about anybody else, because we understand and we know and we believe deeply that our perception is only ever about us. We're always talking about ourselves. I can talk about my husband all day long, and at the end of the day, All I'm sharing is my internal thoughts about myself and what I'm doing to myself all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that really brings an element of confidence, I suppose, in this space where we know you're not judging anybody else either. We know
Mm-hmm.
you're not actually here to talk about how terrible your partners are or how shit your kids are. Like, that's not ever going to be a thing here.
Mm-hmm.
As much as we understand my kid is my trigger, my husband is my trigger, my mum is my trigger, my not getting my passport stamped the right way is the trigger. Like, it's in me. It's what's in me that's the problem, you know. So
Yeah.
that's where we always take it back to. This is just in you, and this is something that you can change
Yes.
very, very quickly. It is the relief here for me as a client and as a mentor, seeing you ladies. The stress just melts away, and you all just become so much lighter. Like, you talk about Ilka's sitting up straight up. Like,
Oh yeah, it's just
the
like
man, your ladies are to come
mm-hmm.
in and be all and then to just kind of open up and to relax and to exhale, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
to find your own ease in yourselves. Really, what I believe we want is for every mother to have their own inner authority and their own ease in themselves. You know, it's you're a flight attendant. You have to put your own oxygen mask on first. That's key. If I'm not good, if I'm not healthy, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
well, I actually can't help anybody else.
Exactly.
If I continue to look through my lenses and my perceptions at everybody else, I'm doing them a massive disservice. In that, I'm trying to fix them while really it's me. And fixing me has been the most joyous
Yes.
set of controls I've ever, you know, if you like control, then this is the space to be in, because I have ultimate control over myself now, and it just brings peace and ease and joy. So I hope that helps whoever's listening. If that's what you're after, accepting stuff, acceptance, self-confidence, all those things just naturally come from aligning your unconscious with your conscious choices. I want you to live your life the way you want to live your life. I'm not here to help you live your life the way I expect you to live. That's not what we're doing here. It's all about you, ladies, every time.
Oh my goodness. I love it. You both gave such a compelling and supporting way of receiving help. So if you're ready, and this amazing trio of ladies, which we're missing one, are you think they are your people? If you are ready to work with them, so what's coming up for you guys? It's 4 weeks now. And then how many more do you have coming up?
I think there's at least 2, maybe
Okay.
3. We haven't decided
Okay.
on the last one for the year, how whether we'll do one in November. Just started, and there's one in September. So yeah.
It's beautiful work. There's nothing better. I have found so much joy in being with my kids, being at home, prioritizing my time and space with them, healing the relationship with my parents, which is a deeper process that I thought it would be. Um, but it's in progress. So stay tuned. Everything is always evolving, and with these beautiful ladies, I have worked a lot deeper. The onion has gotten a lot smaller, I guess, because I peeled the layer. So I don't know, but it's hard. Yeah.
Like
So
that analogy.
yeah, honestly, yeah, yeah. So. But you can watch. I have some resources on my website too. I'll put over your links. Now, which is the best way to contact you for either just to get on a newsletter about upcoming journeys, or are there any other plans as well for you guys to grow from the journeys that you have right now?
Oh, we have lots of things in the pipeline. We want,
Probably the
lots of
best way to stay in touch is to join the Facebook group, the Awakened
Okay.
Parent Community.
Okay.
We are planning on releasing a set of products that you can buy, that you can do at your own pace and have access to some tap-alongs, some educational information before the end of the year, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
But joining the Facebook group is the
Okay.
best way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So,
whenever this is up, if it's before September 2024, you will be able to join the next journey.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. There's
I
still
love
some
that.
spaces in that one.
Yes, I love how she says like before, if it's up before September 20th. There's my cue. There's my cue, which I'm gonna get to work on this. So
Yes.
yeah, so we'll put the Facebook group first and then we'll put all the other resources for some YouTube videos that Ilka has done, that could be helpful, for you to get started if you're not like fully ready. And then some resources as far as like, books and stuff like that. I know Liv has uh a very good selection of recommendations for like gentle parenting and some things that could be helpful at the beginning, to like, okay, let me start here and then kind of gradually go.
Yeah,
So
I've actually built the guides in the Facebook group.
oh really?
Yeah, so there's a good kind of process to follow in that Facebook group.
Okay.
So if you start with the
Okay.
guides, um,
Yes.
there's an ebook that you can use to do some work on yourself, some steps to follow in there. And yeah, book recommendations, I keep adding to that. If you have any
Okay.
suggestions to Julietta, because I know you're a book lady,
Yes,
then
Yeah,
we
give
are
it
book. We
extra.
are sister bookshops, you guys.
yes.
We're gonna open
Yes,
some bookshops here in Michigan
absolutely.
and Australia. And then we're gonna have
Yes.
we're gonna have a plaque that's gonna say sister bookshops. So yeah, stay tuned for that. We're gonna do that. But thank you so much. Thank you both for being here. This has been such a life-changing experience to get to know you both, to be within your energy and to be within your experience, both as as a mentor for unschooling, as a faster EFT in the this journey of life that, oh, it's so beautiful. It's so so beautiful, but it can be challenging at times. So I can honestly say you could both have added dramatically in a very positive way to the life of my children and my husband, because I am much better for them and because of them too. So I love that. Thank you for being here. If you are listening, if you find this podcast, this YouTube video at some point, I urge you to really take the step to invest in yourself and to find the beauty of what it's like to be self-responsible and take ownership of your own life, because this is what it's all about. So, do you guys have any last words of wisdom for people out there that you want to share?
Yeah, like you said, if you invest in yourself, it is the greatest gift. I believe it's the greatest gift you can give to your children. And your children are here to thrive. So
Mhm.
if they have a model of somebody who thrives, who flourishes in life, who has the tools to emotionally regulate themselves, then that is the model you are giving them. We all are emotional beings, but we need to be their models, their role models, that they can, like, my 80-year-old mother is thriving into her 80s, and she has these tools. She's tapped on herself quite a bit. She's done a lot of work on herself,
Mhm.
and she's an amazing grandmother. All my kids want to be her when they're a grandmother. so so yeah, take a leaf out of my mum's book, do the work on yourself, be a thriving 80-year-old
I
who
love it.
is, yeah, that's because
I
that's
love
what will
it.
happen. That's what will
Yeah.
happen when you let go of the things that you feel shame or anger or
Mhm.
that these belief systems are not good enough. Really, we really could talk all day.
I know. We could
We
talk
could
all
go on
day.
and on and
See?
on.
Yes,
But
but
that is the core of it. Let those things,
yes.
let those beliefs change. You are good enough. You are worthy. You are loved. You are adored. You are
Yes.
cherished. You are worthy of thriving and flourishing. And so are
So
your
much.
children.
Yes. Liv, any final words of encouragement here?
Oh, I love that, what Ilka shared.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I did, and that just slipped away, actually. I got so invested in the little Ilka's, journey. But I think it's probably for me as a mum coming through the ranks of the gentle parenting spaces and all that new information about parenting.
Mhm.
This process is the self-care that I actually needed at the time. So it wasn't that I needed time away from my children or that I needed them to be any different. I didn't need to
Mhm.
make different choices. What I needed was my own, I wanted control over my own mental functions. Actually, it's what I wanted. I wanted to be friends with myself because I found that everywhere I went, I was taking myself with me. I was the consistent in the room. It was me. It didn't matter where I was. It was still me. So to be able to be me now, enjoy and actually enjoy myself. I enjoy my thought spirals now rather than them being doom spirals. They're like
Yes.
spirals of joy and productivity and creativity. So really, yeah, if you're kind of done with not having any tools and you kind of just really wanting to step forwards, this is really the place to be. Aligning the mental spiral with your physical body and really coming back to who you actually are is, we feel really lost. When I had my children, I just felt really lost. Like I lost myself in the fray of motherhood and wifing and life and all the restrictions, and lost access to all my coping skills and tools that I was using before I had children. And so I wanted to be a better role model, like Ilka says. I knew and I fundamentally understood that once you're in gentle parenting and those concepts show up, that it's you that's going to model. Your kids are going to be you when they grow up. That really hit me. The responsibility of that alone was, I didn't like myself. I didn't want them to be like me. So now that I like myself, and I wouldn't mind it if they were like me, I know they can be themselves.
Oh my
because,
God.
yeah. So
Yes, so much true. You both are just a well of wisdom. So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to stop
Thank
right now
you.
because I know we could go on. And I would love to do another one, maybe in a few months or something,
Yeah.
something later. But for everyone out there, all links will be in the comments. We will try to put this out there if you would like, if you feel inspired to join the September journey. I will do my best to put it out there so you can find it. Thank you so very much. Please remember that your time is precious. I hope you're making it count. See you next time, everyone.
Yay.
Thank you,
Thank
ladies.
you. Thank you.
thank you, beautiful.